Okay, so we are starting the revision of pricing strategy PPT. So in pricing, we are basically looking at a laundry list of pricing strategies and seeing how they are applied in to various goods and services. This is the textbook definition of what a price is. And if you remember, among the 4 P's, pricing is the second P. And we also discussed why price is one of the most flexible marketing mix elements, because when it comes to product or placement or promotion, there's a lot more effort, there's a lot of more factors involved while changing it compared to a pricing element. So the question is, how do companies determine the price of their product? So first we look at the factors involved when setting pricing. I think the two most important or the two broad factors that you consider is, one, it's the cost involved in producing the product, and two, it is the value that a customer sees in the product. Okay, so you can sort of differentiate both these ways of looking at pricing. One is the cost-based pricing, and the other is value-based pricing. So the cost-based pricing is, of course, the traditional pricing method. I think this is something that you would probably learn in financial management, where you calculate the cost and then there is a percentage that you decide which is your profit, and you would add that to the cost price, which then would give you the selling price. But our focus probably in this chapter would be more on value-based pricing. And in value-based pricing, if you were to ask what is the best price of a product, the answer is pretty simple. The price of a product is what the customer is willing to pay, or the best price of the best way of pricing a product would be based on what the customer is willing to pay for that product, or the value that he gets from that product. So how do we go about value-based pricing? The important thing I think here is first to understand what is the value that the customer sees in a product or service, what is the value that it creates for the customer. For example, I think we discussed this in class. If its home cooked food delivery system is available to the students in Vanguard, which is obviously something that all of you are looking forward to, how would I price it? So the answer for that lies in what's the value, or how much are you willing to pay for such a delivery system. So here's the block diagram which shows how cost-based pricing works and the way value-based pricing is worked. Cost-based pricing starts from designing the product and then finally deciding the price based on the cost. Whereas in value-based pricing, we start by assessing customer needs, their value perceptions. We understand what the customer is ready to pay for or the price he's willing to pay, and then we determine the cost and manage the cost so that this price can be given to the product. Well, two types of value-based services. One is good value pricing and the other is value-added pricing. We saw good value pricing is about offering just the right combinations of quality and good service at a fair price. It's also known as economical pricing, as the marketer is offering just the right amount of combination of quality and service. There's a few examples given here, of which if you remember, we looked at McDonald's example, and which McDonald's then, if you remember the ads of the actors of yesteryears, Dilip Kumar, Dev Anand, and we saw that McDonald's they were highly priced, and they brought down their burger price to 20, which was good value pricing, and their whole idea was to match the pricing of a snack. And we saw how that particular burger of theirs became pretty popular. And so that's quite an example of good value pricing. At the other end, you have value-added pricing, which is attaching value-added features and services to differentiate a company. So here it's a higher priced. You're adding more values, and therefore you're charging a higher price probably than competition or the other available products in the market. Straight example, iPhone or a Sony TV being typical examples of our products probably which are highest price in their categories, and they're highest price because they have a lot of features and services which they add, and hence they justify themselves and why they provide more value to the customer. Not to forget, of course, the intangible. When it comes to value, let's not forget both tangible and intangible benefits. Cars are a typical, product where you see value-added pricing, and as you add more, there would be a base price for a car, and as you add more features, you see that the price of the car keeps going up. So that's a typical sort of example for a value-added. Showing the sequence in which a value-added pricing keeps going, works for cars. So we saw the example of Stag umbrella, which is a brand of umbrellas in Mumbai, and then of course the Chinese products came in, and we saw Chinese products are pretty effective and pretty cheap. A price war erupted in Bombay with respect to umbrellas, and the first reaction of Stag umbrella was to take the price down, which they soon realized was a mistake. So instead of that, they decided to rework the pricing strategy and use value-added pricing strategy. So they improved the quality of the umbrella. They improved the design. They make it, they came up with funky design, cool colors, made an umbrella fashionable. They added power flashlights, a lot of other features. And now once they had improved the value and saw that the customer was ready to pay for that value, they priced their umbrellas at minimum 15% higher than the imports. And Stag umbrella still is a well-known success story, which fought off the cheaper products in the market. These are a few Stag umbrellas. So you can see the fashion and the designs that they have. Okay, you can skip these slides. From the exam point of view, probably you would be covering this in economics, but don't tell anybody that that I asked you to skip these slides for the exams. So let's start from here. We come to new product pricing strategy. Okay, so when a product is launched in the market, what's the sort of pricing strategy that you can use? And there are two types of strategy that many companies follow. One is market skimming, and the second is market penetration. So let's look at market skimming. So this happens when you're launching a product and you set it at a slightly higher price for a certain period of time, during which you sort of skim the revenue layers, and after a period of time you slightly lower it or bring it down to its normal price. Now this is something that you see especially in Apple products, or let's say a Sony HD TV, where they've entered the market with a higher price, and after a period of time you see them lowering the price to its or rather bringing it down the price to normalcy. So the question here is, what are the ideal conditions for market skimming? So there are 3 points that are given over here. I would like to bring your attention to the second point here, where it's important that, as you're bringing it at the higher price, obviously the number of, or the volume is going to be smaller, since lesser people are going to buy it. So the cost of producing a smaller volume should not be so high that they cancel the advantage of pricing more. So that's an important question, and it's also seen that at times when the price is lower later on, the initial customers may not be happy about it. So that's also something that you need to take care of while using a market skimming strategy. The other one is market penetration pricing. Now this is when you want to reach out to as many customers as possible or attract, you're basically creating an attraction. So you set a lower price, you get into the market, and you're trying to attract more people to buy your product. And after a period of time, you probably raise your price after it once you've acquired a certain volume. We can see Reliance Jio right now doing that in the telecom sector, and we've seen other companies also do this, where there's once again there are conditions which are ideal for a market penetration. The second point, of course, is production and distribution. See, now you're selling at a very low price. Your production and distribution costs better be, you have to keep it low, and ensure that it falls. And your whole idea is that it falls as you are selling more products, right?